Hi, ladies. So, we're going to begin our virtual professional development on universal design for learning. Today, we're going to go through and we're going to see what items are available through our shared drive on Google. We're also going to be taking a look at the professional development that we put together using the strategy so that we can incorporate that to our common course of Foods 1 for coming for the second semester. So, we're going to be looking at universal design for learning at your availability due to COVID restrictions, along with some quarantining. We're just going to do this available to you online so you can view it at your available schedule. So, we're taking a look here at the definition of the universal design for learning. It's developed from the universal design concept, and we're going to be using this presentation to discuss the ways that learning goals can be constructed through a lens of universal design for learning in our family consumer science classrooms. We're also going to be looking at instructional design and goals and expectations for knowledge, skills, and outcome. As you can see from the chart followed at the corner there is a circle which involves the UDL thinking and how we can identify potential barriers that we might be seeing in our remote learning students and also our students who are in need of accommodations. So we're going to be looking for universal supports that we can embed in our curriculum using the UDL thinking so that we can create lesson plans that allow us to teach and evaluate and revise and kind of begin that circle all over again so that we are constantly evolving our curriculum while making sure that we are meeting the needs of our unique learners in our unique learning situation right now. So now, why we might choose to use UDL in our family consumer science classrooms. Implementing the UDL has a perspective of goals and objectives that are attainable by different learners in different ways. As we know, our classrooms are a collection of students at various different learning levels. Also, some of our skills that we're teaching them in the classroom are skills that they can apply to their home life or their profession. And so, learners at all stages benefit from being aware of our goals for them and the goals for the instructors, and then also our goals that we hold for our school using our vision and mission. So now a UDL approach, it seeks to create clear learning goals that support the development of an expert, lifelong learner. So how can we take these skills and apply them to our everyday life? And we want to make sure that our instruction is strategic, resourceful, and motivated, which is definitely something that we three have as a strong suit. Now, UDL in FCS, we have a unique opportunity to effectively collaborate on some of our common courses. Foods 1 for the first time in 15 years will be taught by two instructors for this coming semester. We're able to use the knowledge and strong curriculum that Ms. Cagle has created and allow Ms. Geralds to evolve and give some of her opinions and ideas from teaching foods in the past. As we all know that it is difficult right now to create, oh, come on in, they're gone. Right now, we know that it's difficult to create a learning environment that includes our remote learners while meeting the restrictions of the CDC. Now, we have a feeder class, which is the life course, which is now Introduction to Family Consumer Sciences, and we can effectively use the UDL strategy to collectively create goals to help meet that challenging work expectations for our current classroom, the restrictions, our remote learners, and then evaluate how to have all learners participating in those upper level courses. As we identified in my first student data project, we have an issue with students with IEPs and accommodations, along with minority and low-income students not applying for our courses that are considered upper level, so those dual credit classes. This is a situation that we want to address and look at maybe what ways through instruction that we can work to encourage and promote them into taking additional elevated classes. We have a major strength in our department. We have goals that need to be relevant to students. And FCS courses, they focus on independence and professions and life skills after school. So allowing these students to practice and apply what they have found valuable in our courses aligns perfectly with the UDL strategic thinking. We have some goals that we are looking for to use the UDL approach of professional development through alignment for our curriculum with a collective approach to include all of our learners, meeting the safety criteria and appropriately planning for remote learning and common and feeder courses. As a department, our objectives are to learn how to implement the UDL design using our existing curriculum. We also have the opportunity to collaborate upon our strengths and our weaknesses that we've discovered during the first semester. As a department, we can form our professional expectations and ideas for implementing the instructional strategy so that whether a student has myself or Ms. Gerald or Ms. Cagle, they know that our expectations for our department remain the same and that we can collaborate with one another since we often do share lots of students. So we have time now to kind of focus on how we're going to align that Foods One's course. Our goals are to look at the UDL design for the first section of Foods One instructions. We have some resources available to us, including the step-by-step planner, the flowchart, the guidelines, and then the FCS UDL lesson plan. So now, what exactly is the Design for Learning is featured in this YouTube video that you can watch at a time that's convenient for you. And I can tell you it's going to want to start. Dr. Carter, while it's waiting to change, you can see our students that are working hard there in the Culinary Arts Lab. So now, ideally, if we were in person or if everybody had good, strong internet availability, we would take the time after viewing the video to discuss our ideas as a department for implementing that UDL strategy. We'll come back and revisit that whenever time permits and we're all available to be in a same space or at least in the same building. So now, what are our goals and methods and materials and means of assessment for applying the UDL, and what do we already have established? We also need to consider our remote learners, how we're going to adjust this for remote learning, and how using the UDL curriculum can assist us in future instruction. I know that I have had to recreate certain things, and there really has been a large elevation in my curriculum and my presentations because now I'm aware that a lot more people are going to be seeing them. So using that UDL strategy, how can we create some professional pathways to elevate our already successful programs? This is the UDL guideline. As you can take a look up at the top, we have multiple means of engagement. So how are we going to create some interest? We have multiple means of representation. So offering a more customized way of viewing the information or presenting ways for how to show that the student knows what they have accomplished or achieved in the given lesson. We also have action and expressions. This is provided for the actual physical action. So various methods of response and navigating through, and then how to optimize access through tools and assistive technologies. So such as our Chromebook meets one of those standards, along with the text-to-talk assistant that is used as a part of the Google Suite. There are some tools here that we can utilize from the UDL as part of our strategies for instruction. So now we have things such as highlighting, which my students did earlier today. We went through and highlighted while we were doing our notes, and I hope that this is a skill that they will take with them and apply in their other courses. We also have chunking, so taking just sections of information and focusing on that. We have some Google Suites, such as the Talk text to speech, and we have speech to text, which I try to utilize, and of course my text picks up different words than what I have given. We have the online calculator that can be used in foods along with some of our other classes for calculating the amount of material, calculating the amount of items for measure, or for example, I used it today in calculating some budget items. Now, we also have some embedded notes, which are the notes that can be found for the speaker's presentation or notes that could be off to the side. So just some additional information that might be well provided to our study skills instructor. The strategies do include instruction, guided practice, which is going to be both in person and remote, independent practice, which looks completely different in the remote learning. And of course, we do have to understand that our remote and our block learning days presents challenges, but also offers us the opportunity to collaborate together during a common planning time, which will probably never happen again. So that is something that we have taken advantage of, and we're very good as a department by being resourceful. We also have assessment. Now, assessment online, as we know, has been a major struggle due to the students cheating or the students not doing their work. So, we want to look at things such as projects that could replace that traditional assessment until we're able to have our students in the classroom. And of course, that is something that's still in conversation concerning our exams as a final. We'll be having the remote learners come in. So now there are some other people that we need to consider when doing the remote learning, also just planning for accommodations. So we have the ELA students, which are, of course, far and few between, but we do have them. We want to look for ways that they can be successful in the classroom. We also have remote learners who are a completely different section now. So, alternative ways to demonstrating information and them demonstrating their knowledge, okay? Just like we're doing today, which we normally would traditionally kind of get together and we would talk about things, and we do feed off of one another, but this way we're able to stop and really think about what we could offer as far as collaboration goes in that UDL design and what we think is very important in that Foods 1 curriculum, and perhaps building some foundations in that life course, the Introduction to Family Consumer Sciences, so that we can help elevate and include all of our students in those upper level classes. We're looking for that upper level mobility. Now, we also have an opportunity to create some pathways. Although this year is not necessarily the best year to try to collaborate with educators who are in the Common Core subjects, but eventually we will have the opportunity to do some cross curriculum along with our math instructors, reading comprehension, and science. As we all know, foods combines all of those things. And food is something that people are going to eat every day. It's something that we are all passionate about. And so it's a skill that they can incorporate some of those other Common Core subjects into our curriculum and see, like, hey, I can do math, right? And I can do some science. Because as we know, baking is all about science too. We also want to look about embedding our accommodations, not only our ELAs, but along with our IEPs, our 504s, our remote learners, and then preparing to be fully remote in case that ever happens, or in case we're in quarantine for no reason. I'm joking. Obviously, we have had such a struggle, and the thought of needing to be in your classroom but not physically in your classroom is extremely overwhelming. And of course, due to the shortage of subs and the complication with the internet that we are currently experiencing here in the building, it has made the idea of non-traditional teaching extremely complicated. But as we try to utilize the UDL for our strategies here in our FCS curriculum, it's going to allow us to help elevate and really build in some of those foundations to help us prepare if we do have to be gone, so that hopefully one of us from the department would be able to step in those upper level courses and try to continue instruction. So what we're going to be looking at up at the top is some provided web resources. So those are just some additional things that you can go through and continue your education and your professional development. But we have our FCS activity resources. So some things we're going to be looking at today is going to be the step-by-step planner. So that's going to help us build that foundation. You can see it as an image there on the side. We're also going to look at that UDL planning flowchart and then some of those guidelines. So let's take a look at our step-by-step planner. This planner is also included for you in our Google Classroom. We have a folder there, and inside of the folder, I also have some available examples for you from the UDL lessons that you were able to view here in Child Development. Currently, one of the lessons, I believe, was from Chapter 5, and so I'll pull up what that UDL assignment looks like. As we're waiting, there we go. So we have the step-by-step planner. This is available to us currently as a PDF. I know that whenever I think about my ideas, I like to write on things. So I'll include a printout of this in your mailboxes or in your classroom whenever we're able to return back to school. So talking about step 1 is proactively designing, okay? So we need to take a look at Foods 1, section 1, kind of analyze what's that big goal? Like, is my goal specific and clear? Have I separated my primary goal from the other parts of the lesson? So deciding upon the primary goal is crafting a clear and very specific goal that you want the students to achieve. Then you want to look at anticipate some variability. Okay, so how am I going to get everybody engaged? Right now, as we're planning for remote learners, in-person learners, people who went into quarantine, people with IEPs, people who are just not attending class. We have all of these different locations and only one of us. So this UDL design allows us to kind of craft and really think about, what do I want to anticipate for the ranges of students' interest? Everybody likes to eat, so we're here at Foods for a reason. Unfortunately, you can't eat in the classroom, so how am I going to make that happen? And then how do you anticipate some barriers to student engagement? As we know, the mask has caused a lot of barriers as far as communicating student participation, especially as you're getting a fresh new group of students. It may even help to kind of go in and out of one another's classrooms so that they can see that there is that commonality, because a lot of students we have tracked will be going from life to Foods 1 or from Foods 1 to life. Okay. So now ask your planning partner, like, do you design the strategies to support that goal? So go back up to that first step there and think about, is your engagement really supporting what you're wanting to focus on? And then continuing on with that representation, okay, what do you anticipate for the ranges of the students' backgrounds and experiences? As we all know, this is a really cool idea where some of our lower income and lower functioning students who have been functioning as an adult at home has that kind of advantage of already knowing how to do some of these things. And so, what are some anticipated barriers to that student comprehension? So going into Kendra's math area there, I'm not good at math. I can't do the conversions. And so how do we kind of design that strategy support to help the learning goal, to anticipate some of those barriers? And then what's a strategy that you can include to kind of increase those options for representation? So just different ways of presenting directions or clarifying the vocabulary, that option for that additional lecture that we now have to record for our remote learners, whether they're watching it or not. And so there is that option there for them to go back. And I've had students that are in a math class right now, and they say, I go back and I watch the remote learners items because I don't know what I'm doing. And it does provide you with that extra layer of checking for understanding. So now the last section there is action and expression. So what do you anticipate in the range of actions and expressions for this part of lesson to be? So once again, does that design kind of support those learning goals? And then does it support the range of variabilities that I have in my students? What are those strategies I'm looking to implement? And then what are some ways that they can demonstrate? And then once again, including that thought on remote learners, like how can I have them show me they know what they're doing beyond just not being in the classroom? And so some of those cool ideas and lessons that Catherine has in life, maybe we can implement some of those key concepts that she had for her final projects into our Foods Once courses. Now, starting that step 2 is the implementation. So you want to look for things like feedback. So Kendra does a great job of surveying her students and checking for, are you understanding? How do I need to reteach? And Google Forms is an excellent way to ask 1 or 2 questions to make sure that your students are understanding what you're trying to get them to learn. So of course it's an extra step, but I have taken a lot of times those essential questions now and embedded it in a Google Classroom. And eventually I can continue to use those. Although we would discuss it in class, it can work as an extra way to add some points to the students. And if they're listening and they have that clear understanding, they're going to be able to elevate their grade and therefore helping some of our IEP students maybe advance to some of those upper level courses. So now, how are we going to look in case the students do get stuck, and then how am I going to implement that reteaching? For example, I was in Miss Pulley's class during an observation. Her students did not understand the assignment or just were not participating appropriately on their remote learning day. And then whenever they got in class, instead of doing the lesson that she had scheduled, she had taken the lesson from the remote learning and had broken it down into minute to win it games. And the kids played them. They played them in their masks. They played them with the gloves. They just played them. Okay, the kids are looking for any type of normal possible. And so Heather was able to teach, I think they're called SMART goals for their SAE project. Those are the right letters, might not be in the right order. But she was able to take that and incorporate those minute to win it games. So everybody knows how to play. and correlate how to make a SMART goal, which is like a specific goal that you want to achieve, like really, really specific, and then how to apply that into their big final project, because she's worried that they're not going to get the knowledge and understand how to do their big final. So step 3 is reflection and redesign. So how did the lesson go? I know that I have bombed major this semester. Something will take me weeks to complete that normally doesn't take me that long. Or in adult living in the housing unit, guys, we did one room. As you know, we normally do a whole house. So it's like, it's over. We're done. We're done after a room. And so you have to kind of look at some ways like, how do I reintegrate some better ideas into my lesson for the next time? We're just trying our best here, and this will help kind of let us reflect and get on that schedule of like, okay, next time I'm going to do this, or whenever students, whatever the new normal may be, like how can I adjust and, change what we're looking for here, but how can I still remain on that goal-driven design decision? And then do I need some additional strategies to apply? So just taking a look here at that first little bit, that gets us kind of started. We have those UDL guidelines that we can take a look at to kind of guide our thinking as we are working to construct that Foods 1 Section 1 UDL common planning whenever we have the availability to do so. You can also take a look at this flow chart. So the flow chart is the lesson plan itself, okay? Now, my lesson plans look slightly different because they came from an older version of the textbook, but it's the same type of format. Now, these work great for observations, and I would suggest anytime my administrator comes in to observe me, I'm always like, oof, one of the UDL days, because it really helps you meet all of those requirements for Danielson's models and making sure that you're getting all of the engagement and all of those factors that you need on your observation there. Because we all know that we do all of them. They just may not be seen or possibly present in the current lesson plan that you're looking at. Also, and implementing those restrictions does make it a lot more difficult to meet some of those things. So I look forward to seeing you all. Dr. Carter, I hope you enjoyed our professional development, and I hope that everybody is staying healthy, happy, and safe.